Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, where I talk about all the crafty goodness that I've been up to over the past couple weeks. Or in this case, the past month. I wanted to thank you all right off the bat for all your patience while I was gone for a month. It was way longer than I expected, but we had some travel delays and ended up staying with my parents and my husband's parents for a couple weeks longer than we expected, and I didn't have my recording equipment with me, so that meant I couldn't record any new episodes. So yeah, I have a lot to show you on this episode because of that. Thankfully, I was smart and, as always, way overpacked with crafty stuff, so I had lots of things to work on while I was gone. But yeah, that leaves me with lots to tell you about. So before we jump on in, there are a few places you can find me on the internet. The first is birchandlilyfiber.com. That's where I sell all of my hand-dyed yarn. You can also find me on Instagram at birch.and.lily, and my Ravelry, Patreon, everything else will be linked down below in the description. I did also want to say that I have created a discount code for all of you as a thank you for your patience while I was gone. You'll be able to use this discount code on birchandlilyfiber.com on any of the items that are available in the shop. The code is I'm back in all capitals. I'll put that down below on the screen as well. But if you use that, you will get 25% off of anything in the shop. And yeah, just a little thank you for being patient with me while I've been gone. So instead of rambling on, let's just jump into what I'm wearing. I have this finished object. I have a couple other finished one other I can show you, a couple I gifted that I just wanted to quickly say that I did finish. But this is my pride and joy. I think this is my favorite sweater I have ever knit. This is my Cargill sweater. It's a pattern by Clow, and I did knit this out of yarn that was gifted to me from Hobbii. I used two different yarns from the Hobbii Friends collection that they were so kind to send to me as a gift. I used the extra fine merino and the kid silk mohair, both in the colorway light gray. And I guess I might as well step back and show you a look at this sweater. So I was working insanely hard to have this finished in time for Christmas Eve. I wanted to wear this to our family Christmas Eve celebration, and I finished it. It was a little weird to block it without all of my blocking tools because I did not plan that far ahead. So I did bring like a sock soap or a wool wash, that's the word I'm looking for. I did bring a wool wash with me, so I had that. I was able to soak it, and then I ended up just laying it out without blocking it or pinning it or anything on a couple garbage bags with a fan in front of it, and it dried in a few days. So I'm thankful for that. But I'm so happy with how this turned out. I love the length. I think it hits at a really good spot. I love how the sleeves balloon out. I don't know, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. So I knit a size 4. I couldn't tell you what needles I used because I'm really bad at keeping track of that. And I figure my gauge is always going to be different than your gauge. So why even bother saying? But it's beautiful. It was a really, really fun knit. The dip stitch pattern, after a while, I was able to memorize, so I didn't really have to look at the pattern much other than like looking for decreases and measurements and such. I don't even think, yeah, there's no decreases in the sleeves until you hit the cuff, and then there's just a rapid decrease, which gives you this really cute balloon look, which I quite like. I think I'll sit down again. So the collar is a folded over collar. You pick up stitches for it after you've knit the body. I did mine, I'm trying to think, I knit my collar before I started the sleeves. So you pick up all the stitches and then knit the collar double long and attach it at the bottom here. So something else I did want to talk about that I learned this from Tiny Human Knits, and then I paid attention to my knitting. It was like, oh, I do this too. I knit all of the ribbing inside out. I believe it's Laura. I'm so sorry if I get the name wrong. But Laura of Tiny Human Knits mentioned how her ribbing is always neater on the wrong side. I noticed that mine is as well. So basically all I did was I did a German short row right at the beginning of my ribbing, and then just started knitting it inside out. And then once I got to the end, oh, this pattern, there's another one that I did this on, which I'll show you shortly, where right at the end I just started doing a tubular bind off in the opposite direction. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I'll explain it more with that sweater. But this one I just bound off inside out as well and called it good. But it just made, and I can't even show you on the collar, that's where I found it was probably the most noticeable. Actually, the collar and the ribbing on the bottom, I'll show you that in a sec. But I don't know, it just made everything look more neat, more finished, in my opinion at least. I don't know. Gosh, this is weird because I don't want to lift I don't want to lift up my sweater and show you stuff I don't want to show. But without getting too close, if you see the ribbing there at the bottom, and then I flip it, hopefully you can tell it's a lot messier on the inside. So I don't know, I think it's something I'm going to keep up. It's a little bit extra work, a little bit more thinking, but once I've done the double stitch and I've started doing it inside out, I just flipped the whole sweater inside out and worked it as if I was on the right side. If you're confused, you can ask me questions in the comments. But yeah, I think it turned out beautifully. I think it made for a really, really nice garment that just, to me, looks more polished and more finished. Otherwise, fit-wise, perfect. Love how this fits. I know when I was knitting it, my sister looked at it and said, Amanda, that looks really small. Are you sure that's gonna fit you? And I was like, just wait. It's got ribbing, like, I guess, yeah, it technically has ribbing in between each of these dip stitches, but just in general, it's kind of a cable. And I was like, just wait till I block it. It's gonna grow and it's gonna look absolutely perfect. And it did. So yeah, I'm very happy with the fit. I know I had talked about when I was knitting this that I was concerned for a while that I was allergic to mohair. I'm wearing it and I'm not itchy, so I don't think I'm allergic to mohair. I don't know why I thought last year when I was knitting with mohair that I was allergic to it, but I'm fine. I still will say I prefer the feel of Suri, so I think my preference will always go to Suri over knitting with mohair. I just find it a little bit softer, and I don't know, I like the look of it better. But I'm very happy with this garment and I think it's super cute. And I got to wear it for Christmas Eve like I wanted, so that's great. Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about this. I don't think there's much else I have to say. But yeah, very, very happy with the outcome. So I do have one other finished garment that I wanted to show you. I'm not going to change into it because I'm calling it finished, but I think there's one thing I do want to do to it. But this is my port sweater, which I'll stand up to show it. It's a pattern by Ozetta. I knit this out of Wooldreamers Mota in the color Blanco, and I did use Birch and Lily Birch Suri in the colorway Sugarplum Fairy, but I think the Blanco was a little bit too yellow, and so you can't really see the colors throughout. I get closer and it gets even worse just with the lighting, but you can't really see the colors of the Suri. And I think what happened was because the Blanco is quite yellow toned because it's undyed, when I held the Suri over top of it, the Suri has purples and pinks and blues in it, which all purple mostly, but all of those colors are going to tend to mute out yellow tones. They kind of cancel each other out and then you don't end up seeing it. So that was my own fault. I'll have to knit something again with the Sugarplum Fairy and then I can really show off the colors of it because I do love the colors. Actually, let me grab a skein quick. I love the colors in it. It's so like pastel-y and pretty. So now my thought is to hold the fingering weight of Sugarplum Fairy with just a undyed Suri and do a Dear Do Womo is kind of my thought. We'll see. I'm going to hold the two together over top of each other and make sure it will work in the way that I want before I just go and assume it's gonna work like I did with my port sweater. But as I was saying, I'm calling it finished because it's totally finished as the pattern was written. But when I put it on, I do not like the high neck on myself. I apparently have a shorter neck than I thought, and it looks ridiculous. So my thought, and I just haven't got around to it yet, is that I'm going to fold over the collar and just tack it down on the inside of the sweater with like a whip stitch. And I think I will be much happier with how it looks when it's folded down, because otherwise I love it. I love how big and squishy and cozy it is. It's wonderful. I just hate the collar. So if that doesn't work, what I'll probably end up doing, there's a tubular bind off around the top of it, and I'll probably just go in and rip that out and just shorten the whole collar altogether. But I want to try folding it over first because I do love the look of a folded over collar. So that's where I am with this. But I knit a size 3. I'm right on target for the measurements. It's supposed to be a really big, oversized, cozy sweater. The whole thing is finished with a tubular bind off. I'm really loving just how a tubular bind off finishes a garment. So I think I might do it more often. I didn't do it on this sweater, mostly because I was in a hurry to get it done for Christmas. And I'm happy with how the edging looks on it too, but I think a tubular bind off just looks so clean and pretty. So, and I'm really happy too with this pickup around the neckline. I think the shape of it is really neat. And then this really cool ribbing that is like from the transition to the body into the sleeves, I think is beautiful as well. It's a lovely garment. It's just the collar is throwing me off. But I do want to talk about what I was saying earlier about the tubular bind off. I did knit the ribbing on this cuff inside out as well. And maybe you'll be able to see better on this one. Just, it looks a little messier. This is the wrong side. And this is, I hope you didn't just hear my stomach. I haven't ate lunch yet. So this technically would have been the wrong side, but I knit the cuff inside out so that the wrong side became the right side. I hope that makes sense. But you can see just, I don't know, it's just a little messier. I like how this looks. Maybe you can see better on, yeah. So this is, what my right side would have normally been. And that would have been my normal wrong side. So yeah, I think I'm going to continue to knit my 1x1 ribbing inside out. My 2x2, never have any issues with it. I'm happy with how that looks, but my 1x1 is just messy. So I like how this looks better. So like I said, I did a double stitch or a German short row, which makes a double stitch. I did that so that I was able to start doing it inside out, knit the whole cuff inside out, and then once I got to the length that I wanted for the cuff, I just flipped it back out so I was looking at the right side again and just started doing the tubular bind off. And you can't even tell, I was able to blend it in really nice. I think that's where it was, but I didn't have to do any sort of short row turn to like get it back going in the right direction. I just started doing it and then fixed it when I wove it in. So I think it turned out great. I don't think you can tell at all. And I'm really happy with what it looks like that way. It's really not that much extra work for me to get a really neat looking ribbing. So yeah, like I said, all I really want to do, I guess I can fold it this way, but yeah, I'll fold it inside like this, just so the collar is shorter, and I think I'll be way happier with it, and then I'll get a whole bunch of wear out of it. It's so soft. I really, really like the Wooldreamers Mota. I definitely think I'll knit some more garments out of it. The price is very reasonable. All I paid for the yarn to make this, and I barely broke into the 5th ball of yarn. So I bought 5, and it was, I think, $80 for the whole sweater plus my Suri, but if I was knitting it without, I could have got a sweater for 80 bucks. I probably didn't even need the 5th skein that I broke into. I could have just made the, well, if I wasn't doing this tall collar like this, if I had just knit the collar half the length, I totally could have got it out of 4 skeins. But yeah, I really like the feel of the Mota, especially after it's blocked. It feels slightly rough when you're working with it, but once you block it with some wool wash, it really, really softens up. And then held with the Suri is lovely too. I have thought, this is just a random thought, but I have thought about selling undyed Suri in the shop. It wouldn't be as expensive as obviously dyed Suri. I haven't sat down and figured out what the cost of it would be, but if you're interested in purchasing undyed Suri from the shop, let me know, because I could definitely do that for you. Because I think holding undyed Suri with like anything is amazing. So let me know if you're interested in that. But yeah, tangent aside, port sweater, very happy with this, excited to wear it. Just quickly need to whip stitch down the collar, and it will be all done. And then I'll take some better photos of it, because I was at my mother-in-law and my father-in-law's house when I had to take finished object photos for this, and my face does not like the water back where I grew up anymore. And so I was breaking out. I didn't want to do my makeup, so I just quick took some photos of me like without my face in them. So I really need to take finished object photos of my Cargill and my port sweater, some good ones that I can post up on Instagram. Actually, maybe I should do that today, because my makeup and my hair is done. Maybe I'll do that up against the blank wall in here. We'll see. We'll see. But for now, I need to get this video recorded and that finished. So finished object wise, I also did finish my second Harlow hat I was working on last episode, but I gifted that without taking photos because I'm silly, so I don't have that to show. And then yeah, I cast on many things, so we might as well jump into that. So this first work in progress, I'm pretty sure I showed it last episode. Actually, let me check my show notes. Yes, I had cast this on last episode, but I've definitely got some work done on it. This is my Anessa Dora shawl, a pattern by Lindsey Fowler. And I am using an undyed fingering weight from the shop, undyed Birch sock, which is an 80/20 fingering weight. And I am also using all of my mini skeins from my Stress Knits Planty Holidays advent calendar. So from this last Christmas 2022 advent calendar. And I have every single color in here once, which is really exciting. Here it is. It's so pretty. Sorry, I keep adjusting my lighting. Everything got moved around when I was packing, and now I just feel like the lights are wrong. But that's a little better. Anyways, so I have every single color in there once, and then if you see where the progress keeper is dangling, the color above where that lobster clasp is, I've started putting all the colors in a second time. So yeah, it's really, really fun. I just love how all of these colors work together. I think Stacy of Stress Knits did an incredible job picking an order for all of these, and coming up with the colors in general, but picking an order for them too. I think she just did such a good job. I'm so happy with it. And I just love how simple the pattern is in this. Most of the rows, actually all of the rows in it, are stockinette except for one. So it's really, really intuitive and easy to knit. I don't have to think about it at all. I just kind of go and grab the color I need next and add it in. And then of course, the other thing I love, 0 ends to weave in. Just tassels. So I've been very pleased with that too, because obviously there's a lot of color changes, but you just turn them all into tassels. So super cute in that way as well. So yeah, loving this. As with everything I'm going to show you today, I can't remember where I was last time. So the Progress Keeper usage will now be back to normal after this episode. But yeah, really, really sweet pattern. I love it so much. I love every single one of the Advent type patterns that Lindsey has came out with, but I just love the fact that there's no ends on this one. So that is well underway. It's in my super cute Knittin' in the Mitten bag. This is from, oh, I should know this by now. Knits from Michigan Woods. Yeah, so that's that project. New cast on that I'm loving. This has become my new like in-purse knitting project. Bring to the movies, work on in the car, that sort of thing. It's in this little pouch from Woolberry Fiber Co. Ooh, my hands are shaky. And I am knitting my very first Musselburgh hat. I am using this gorgeous skein of yarn I've been hoarding from Explore Knits and Fibers for ages. She came out with this when she got engaged to her now husband, and I'm terrible at pronouncing this word, but I believe it's Uncompaghre engagement. It'll be obviously written down below, but it's so pretty, and I've been hoarding it, and I thought this would be the perfect way to use it and be able to use up every single little last bit of the skein. So I have, like I said, cast on a Musselburgh, and it looks ridiculous. Basically what you do is you cast on here and increase, and then just work a big huge tube almost like a sock, and then I've been like weighing the yarn as I go to kind of know when I'm halfway, when I'm about at the point where I can decrease. But eventually you decrease so it looks exactly like this end, and then you have a big huge long tube that you fold inside out, and it gives you like a super cozy double thick hat. And I'm hoping it will be long enough that then I can also fold up the brim and have like a quadruple thick brim. But yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And the pattern is also written so that you don't have to gauge swatch. You just pick your needles, pick your yarn, start going, and you take your gauge swatch in the middle of knitting the increases at the beginning, and that helps you figure out how many stitches you need to cast on to do your hat. So yeah, I have been keeping this, like I said, in my purse, and it's been really fun to just knit in the round on it. And I'm so excited to be using up like a really, really special skein of yarn. So that is that. This is on this colorway rather is on an discontinued base from Explore Knits and Fibers, I believe. I don't think they carry it anymore. I have it written down here. Teton sock, so it's a 75-25. I think they just carry the 80-20 base now, but I don't even think you can get this color anyways because it was like a special thing, like I said, for when she got engaged. But I really should weigh this ball of yarn and kind of see where I'm at. I weighed it before I started and then wrote that down so I kind of know where I'm going with it. But I definitely am already planning some more of these to cast on. I don't know if you remember that skein of yarn I purchased, and I had cast on socks with it, but it fades all the way from purple to green. I think I'm going to rip those socks out and make a Musselburgh out of it, because can you imagine if it faded from purple to green and you could like fold it either way if you wanted a green hat one day or a purple hat one day? I just think it would be really fun. So that is my Musselburgh, and like I said, I am planning many more. It's a lovely pattern, well worth the cost. I think many people might be getting those this year, depending on how Castioni I feel. But yeah, Musselburgh hat, another new cast on. This, a couple days ago, I was much further on, but I wasn't happy with how I was knitting up, so I ripped the whole thing out and started over. This bag is from Brooklyn Haberdashery, and I finally cast on my Amara sweater, which is something I've been so excited to do for so long. And of course I'm in the middle of a round on this, but I cast it on the size 3 for it, and I was knitting. I just kept feeling like it was too small. And so when I finally got home, I put it on like those try-on cable things, the put on hold cables. Do I have any with me? No. But that plastic tubing that you can pop on the needles so then you can slide stitches around. I put it on that and I was like, no, this is too small. I want this garment to be big and cozy and I'm not gonna be happy with it. So I tore the whole thing out and started over. So I'm on the ribbing, but I'm loving this. I'm so much happier with the size of it and how it's working out. This is also yarn from Explore Knits and Fibers. This is on their Rockies DK base in the color Fia, or Fia? Fia. Yes, Fia, goodness. But it's so pretty. It's like a neutral base with blues and pinks and all sorts of stuff kind of throughout it. I hope you can see that. Here's one of the balls I pulled out. I don't know if that shows it any better, but it's a beautiful color. And yeah, I'm knitting away on it. I have a Progress Keeper from Hello Lavender on there, and also some really cute needle stoppers. If you guys are interested in me stocking these in the shop, let me know. I just love them now. It just makes me feel so much better having these on the ends of my needles, knowing that I'm not going to lose all of my stitches when I pick up the project next time, or my dog isn't going to accidentally wrap her little foot around the yarn and pull half of the project out when I'm not looking. So if you're interested in some of these needle stoppers in the shop, let me know and I will happily stock them. But not tons done on this. I did also realize as I was knitting it that I think part of the problem is that cable, like my cable gauge is way tighter than this gauge. So I think what I'm going to do is go up one needle size from what I'm using for this ribbing for the body so that my cables just have a little bit more wiggle room, and then see how that works as well. But it was so pretty when it was knit up. The cables are so pretty, but I just knew I wasn't going to be happy with it, and I've wanted to cast this on for so long, and I've been hoarding the yarn for so long for it that I just knew I had to tear it out and start it over so that I was going to be happy with it. But that is my Amara sweater. I also have in here, I should grab a project bag for it while I'm up here, but I did cast on a pair of socks while we were there. This yarn is from Mulberry Fiber Co. It is one of their Anne of Green Gables sock sets from their Anne of Green Gables club that happened last year. This is called Anne Shirley, and I cast on a pair of Stronger Than the Storm socks. This is a pattern by Emma Janet of, I believe, Bloom and Create, and it's a color work pattern, and I think it's made me decide all of my Anne of Green Gables club sock sets I want to do color work with, because look how pretty that is. It's just, uncover my face. It's so pretty. So I have the whole leg on the first sock done. I'm working on the foot. And then there is going to be some color work at the toe of the foot. So I should actually measure these and see how much longer I have to knit, because I have tiny, tiny feet. So I might almost be done. And then put the color work in on the toe and then start the second pair. But these were really, really fun. I knit them up in, at least the color work, I did this all in like a day. It just, something about color work makes knitting fly. So it was really, really fun to work on. I just did a slip stitch heel flap and gusset on these. I think I followed what the pattern called for. And the cuff is, what are you? A 2x1? Yeah, I think it's a 2x1 ribbing. I followed whatever the pattern said again. I figure it's fun to try out other people's patterns and kind of follow what they've written just to learn something new. So that's kind of what I'm doing with this sock. I am knitting it. I know I don't usually say my needle sizes, but I had talked a while ago about how I've learned how loose my gauge is. So I have changed how I tension my knitting. That's definitely helped, but I also still have dropped needle sizes for a couple things. So now instead of knitting my socks on a 2.25 millimeter US 1 needle. I knit them on a 2 millimeter US 0, and I am really happy with how the gauge is turning out for those. So I think it was a good change. But yeah, those are just in this bag, like I said, because I didn't have a project bag for it. This is going to be a long episode. But that's okay. I've been gone for a while, so all good. Another new cast on. This is a test knit that I was itching to cast on the whole time I was gone because I got accepted for, oops, wrong bag. I got accepted for this test knit while I was away for Christmas, and then thought I would be back within 2 weeks, and I wasn't back until 4 weeks. So it definitely, I was quite impatient waiting to cast this on. So I dyed up a new colorway for this, which will soon be available in the shop. I just haven't put the listing up. But this is called Graphite. A really nice dark gray, grayish black. And I'm going to be using Ghirardelli with it as well. And this is, I guess I didn't say, the Downtown Hoodie. I'm testing this pattern for Tori U. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It has a hood. I'm sure you've seen in pictures that I popped up, but it has a hood and it has drawstrings that work, and I'm not looking forward to making those I-cord drawstrings. I won't lie, but I am so excited to have this as a finished garment. So I am knitting the size 3, and this is knit on birchandlily fiber coat Birch DK, which is 100% superwash merino. Like I said, graphite and Ghirardelli. So I'm really excited to get to the point where I can start putting in the stripes of Ghirardelli. I think it's going to look so cool with this gray color. It's so me, and I'm so excited. So there's not much I can say about this, obviously, because it's a test knit and also a paid for pattern that I don't want to spoil. But it's been really, really fun to knit so far. Lots of short rows at the beginning. That's okay though. And then now I am in like the raglan increases for the sleeve caps and stuff. So at a point where I can kind of just go and not really have to think, which is nice. But yeah, I only cast this on maybe a few days ago, and I feel like it's going pretty fast. So this is due in right at the beginning of March, so I still have plenty of time left. I might wind this up and start the I-cord, to be honest, just because I know I'm probably not going to enjoy it. So if I start it now and kind of just work on little bits of it over the next while, then it won't be like the last thing I have at the end and I'm dreading it. So I'll probably do that after I finish recording this video. But yeah, I am quite enjoying it so far. Nice and simple and stockinette. It's kind of nice to have that on the needles, which is simple and stockinette, and this next project I'm going to show you, which is simple and stockinette, and then have my one crazy cabled sweater, the Amara. So that is that. And then flip my notes here. It's a long list of notes this time. Second to last project I have to show you is another new cast on. This I am knitting up for the Hobbii No Shades of Grey challenge. They asked me to participate and were so kind to send me yarn for it. And I am knitting up a Stripes by Andrea Mowry. And look at it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I love it so much. It's like so out of my comfort zone, so bright and crazy, but that's what they said to do for the challenge. So I went and I did it. And yeah, it's been really, really fun. I'm shockingly knitting this out of acrylic yarn. This is Hobbii Amigo. I was really interested to see how it wears, how I feel in it. It's soft. It's very soft. Yeah, I'm just curious to see, because I'm obviously very into knitting with wool. I'm curious to see how the acrylic worked up, and I liked the colors. They had given us a list of yarns we could choose from, and I liked the colors that Amigo had the most, so that was also kind of why I picked to go with this base. But yeah, as you can see, I have slit for the sleeves. I did that yesterday, and I'm just working away on the body. It's working up really fast, because it's so exciting to add in another color and do like the next stripe. So I honestly think I might cast on another one of these after in a whole bunch of single skeins that I have, because it's really, really fun. So I'm knitting the, what size? The size 4. For this, I have decided there's 2 different collar options available, either just like a single one, or you can do a provisional cast on and then pick up the stitches later, knit the collar double long and whip stitch it down. But I decided I wanted something that was like a little bit wider and more open, so I did that like single collar. I can't remember what the pattern calls it. That's what I did. And then I think I'm going to do, you can either do like quarter length sleeves and a cropped body, or full length sleeves and a full length body. I think I'm going to do that, the full length sleeves and the full length body. We'll see. I'll try this on later down the road and kind of see how I feel. But that's kind of where I'm at so far with that. I can't decide either if I want to knit the whole body and then do the sleeves, or kind of go back and forth between the two of them. We'll see. But I love the colors. Oh my goodness. It's so out of my wheelhouse, but I love it. It's very fall. So I did write down the colors, just so you know. This purple here, this is Bordeaux. These are all in the Hobbii Amigo. Then next is Curry, Petroleum Green, Patina Green, and then Cognac. So yeah. And thank you to any of you who helped vote in my stories of the order to put these in. I ended up going, I think, with, it was option C, but I think in that option I had started with like one of these, how I'd lined it up, but I decided I wanted the purple right up by my neck, because I don't know, I just like how it looks with my skin tone and stuff. So still the same order as C, but I started with the purple. So yeah, wow, so out of my comfort zone, but like so pretty. So yeah, I'm gonna keep knitting on that. This is due the end of February, I think so, but it's flying. The gauge is relatively, no, it's not relatively loose. I think the gauge is 20. Oh no, I can't remember. Anyways, I did hit gauge. I did a gauge swatch. But yeah, it's knitting up very, very fast. Also, ooh, this is something. I learned how to do jogless stripes. Can you see? Well, you kind of slightly can, but those look pretty dang jogless to me, and I'm pretty impressed with that. So that was a fun thing to learn. I'm very glad I learned that. I wish I knew that ages ago. I'd heard about jogless stripes, but I'd never put in the effort to try. And I'm really glad I learned how to do those. So I think the only thing I would have changed about this is I wish I didn't alternate the stripes going down the back like the, well, no, I guess I kind of have to because it's a yoked sweater. It's not a raglan. I was going to say I wish I had alternated them under like my arm or something, which I guess I could switch to doing now. But I'll probably just leave it the way it is. But because it's jogless, but you can still kind of see, but I guess too, when I block it and weave in all the ends, that will help hide it quite a bit as well. So it should be fine. But yeah, I love it. It's really fun. I want to cast on more, but I can't because I have so many projects planned that I really want to cast on. Gosh, so many. So I can't start another stripes until I work on some of those because I really want those as well. But one other thing to show you, these are almost done. I just haven't put heels in them. And now I'm home and I've kind of forgotten about them. So I should set these out so that I put heels in them. But these are my Cozy Knitter Advent 2022 socks. I finished them and they're really pretty. Finished them obviously minus the heel. I'm going to put in the heel, the afterthought heel from Lindsey Fowler's Simple Shortbread Socks pattern. I really like how it fits. It's an afterthought heel, but it's got this slipped stitch reinforcement that like a slip stitch heel flap and gusset has. So I feel like it fits my foot better because it's kind of snug around the back of my heel. So that's what I'm going to put into these. I just haven't put in the time to do it yet because I've been busy with test knits and such, because that's my life now. But I did want to show you too. I have the good old stack of all of them here. I have knit these Cozy Knitter Advent socks every single year she's came out with them, so I have 5 now. Which at this point I can't stop, can I? So yeah, it's really fun to lay them all together every year after I've finished that year's pair and kind of see them. So this was the first year, is that 2018? 2019? 2020? 2021? And this past year is 2022. So I love the collection of these. They're just so cute. And cozy and fun. Excited for next year's. Already thinking to next year Advent, apparently. But wow, this is a much longer episode than I'm used to. I've realized I talk really fast, and that's probably why my episodes are usually shorter. But this one was just long because I had so much to talk about. So I'm looking at my notes here. I should mention one more time before I go the coupon code that's available for the shop, birchandlilyfiber.com. I'm not sure when I'm going to end that. Probably just before next episode goes live, I'll end that coupon code. But it's I'm back, IMBACK, all in capitals. And you'll get 25% off of anything in the shop. And yeah, other than that, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for your patience while I was gone. I'm so glad to be back and recording episodes for you again. And I'm really excited to see what's to come in this new year. If you liked what you saw today, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. It helps me out a lot, and it lets YouTube know that you like seeing my videos, so it will show them to you in your subscription feed. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!